I let the tree grow out this season, no pruning, just to set the basic structure and increase the thickness of the established wired branches. Now it's time to prune all of this growth back to proportional size, make some choices of what stays and what has to be removed. While I do that, here's how this tree was made. I airlayered my big maple, which is still in the ground, at a node with two trunks emerging in May of 2020, and I removed the airlayer in early September of this year. I worked the fresh roots just a little bit and planted in a training pot. Next spring, April of 2021, I cleared the remaining moss, spread out this perfect root system and placed the tree in an oversized ceramic pot. I was quite lucky since this was the ideal outcome of an airlayer. Most of the times there is not such a perfect root system all around the trunk, and more work needs to be done to actually get that. Some people might feel this tree is tall and leggy, but I try to recreate the feeling I got when I saw this image online 17 years ago. The elegance of this maple is what actually drew me to bonsai back then. And even though I do not seek to copy this shape, I would like this tree to have such an elegant stance in a decade or so. This branch was in my original plan, but it became thick enough to be competing with the main trunk line, so it has to go, and I decided to keep the thin one on the back instead. This is how a maple bleeds in the pruning sites if you decide that it is a good idea to prune a tree after a week of constant rain. There is an actual flow visible that dilutes the wound paste down the trunk. I decided to leave the tree dry out and seal the wounds again after that and then continue with wiring. Unfortunately, we have another 5 days of rain forecasted, and this might be the only window to to do this kind of work before the branches become brittle in winter. So I will stack some firewood as I wait for the wounds to dry. Next morning, as I was interrupted yesterday by an unforecasted rain, everything looks dry enough to continue. I'll wire every small branch, but as the tree develops it will be styled with progressively less wiring and more pruning. I use oversized aluminum wire wrapped loosely around the branch at approximately 60 degrees pitch. This is different than conifers, which require smaller size wire, a tight fit, and a smaller pitch than 60 degrees. Another key difference in styling between maples and conifers is that in maples I set neighboring branches in slightly different planes, while in conifers I set them strictly in the same plane. And with that the work ends as the rain picks up again. Now starts the slow and difficult work of building an impressive ramification for this maple. This is the front now, and you can see the empty space between the two trunks. It is interesting and quite beautiful to my eyes, and that is why I choose to set it this way in the past spring. But I feel that if I change the front slightly, it will look a little bit better. We'll see, as I don't have to make this decision for a few months. Thank you for your time.